In January 2016, we as a crew helped our friends from the motorboat Southern Star safely cross the Atlantic to Barbados. This was a great experience, but we then parted ways for the time being. The Norwegians on the Oda powered on and are already at home. We, on the other hand, end the long winter break on March 7, 2016 and fly back to Agua Dulce in southern Spain. In spite of help, we need 2 weeks to get the Stormvogel ready to travel. The weather is fantastic and we take advantage of it for the trip to the spectacular Sierra Nevada. It's not very far to Gibraltar and we start off towards the west in easy day-long stages. Still in Spain, we are catapulted into England all of a sudden, on our arrival at the Rock of Gibraltar. This century-old, smouldering dispute over the rocks in the sea between the two proud countries is really a strange thing. The fine weather is deceptive. There is so much wind that the cable car on the cliffs suspends service and we have to travel with a tourist bus. We learn that the inside of the rock is quite similar to Swiss cheese. The rock is crisscrossed by many tunnels and passages and built out as a natural bunker. When it comes to power, no effort is too great. The monkeys who live here don't understand any of that. The animals are all registered with a chip, and there's even an organization that cares for the comical animals. The monkeys are very funny to watch because they are almost completely self-absorbed. We leave the Mediterranean and set a northwest course. Now we are really on our way home. The Atlantic waves are familiar to us, and even the wind reminds us of our outward voyage in 2012. The difference between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean coast is amazing. In Cadiz, we decide to leave out Algarve and to travel overnight directly to Lagos on the southwest tip of Portugal. Everything is prepared, we set off, and already after 3 hours we realize that the weather report has no basis in reality at all. We break off and then only travel to Chipiona. Why struggle with a night sail if you can moor comfortably in the harbour? The Chipiona harbour is empty of people, but shortly afterwards Gabi and Heinz from the Tao arrive, and they quickly convince us that the Algarve is far too beautiful to simply sail past. Charts and nautical manuals are consulted and our plans are changed. We are off to the Algarve. The border river of Rio Guadiana is our first stop in the Algarve. It separates Spain from Portugal and can be navigated with a sailing boat with raised mast. A river sail through nature is something totally new, because there's no industry along the river, just pure nature. We wait for low water to ensure we safely pass the Guadiana International Bridge on the rising tide. After all, the official overhead clearance of the bridge is 18 meters, while our mast with antennas is over 19 meters. We stay a week in the interior in the river village of Al-Kutim and quickly understand why the numerous sailors here refer to it as the Sticky River. You could really stay a long time here. The nautical charts already promise a spectacular landscape at the lagoon of Alvor, a few days further on to the west. And it's true, Alvor quickly becomes our absolute favorite place in the Algarve. The combination of lagoon, endless sand beaches and the small tourist village is really unique and uniquely beautiful. Via Lagos and Beira, we respectfully approach Cape St. Vincent, the southwestern tip of Europe. Although the weather is calm and sometimes we can only advance by using the engine, there is a powerful swell here, and it's a real roller coaster as we round the cape. Now on to the final strictly north course. Via Sines and Sesimbra, we reach Lisbon in dreary rain. Actually, it doesn't stop raining. Of course, that's a given. After all, we are on our way home. We rapidly passed the Ponte 25DA Brill, the red suspension bridge over the Tagus River. There are no overhead clearance problems with this enormous construction. 10 days later, the sun is shining for our departure, and we managed to get a snapshot of this impressive structure after all. We reached Nazaré on May 23, 2016. It is from here that we left continental Europe on October 19, 2012, and thus the circle is complete after 1,302 days and around 20,000 sea miles. Memories of the departure seem to be from another lifetime. Oh my heavens, all the things that went wrong. What naive beginners we were then. Well, done and dusted. We know the way from Nazaré. Until now, every place has been new and wanting to be discovered. The skipper is somewhat nostalgic, but the crew is thrilled to be on the home straight. As though on track and pulled by a magnet, it draws us towards the north. Although the weather is very changeable and damp, we often have a good sailing wind, and it's a real pleasure to steer the Stormvogel hard on the wind northwards. The obligatory day trip to Porto is shot down in the face of damp cold rain. The skipper asks daily whether summer the crew promised is hiding. At the beginning of June 2016, we finally reach La Coruña in northern Spain in easy day stages and hope for good weather for crossing the Bay of Biscay. The engine runs for almost 3 days straight, until Loch Tuidi. Not a breath of wind, no waves, no sun. Grey, all grey, monochrome grey. Only the dolphins provide us with a bit of pleasure. The sun, and above all the colours, only return on a stopover of a few days in Camaret-sur-Mer close to Brest. Because we travelled the south coast of England in 2012, we want to stay on the north coast of France on our way home and also visit the Channel Islands. But the minute we depart Camaret-sur-Mer, the weather returns to dull grey drizzle and it's no longer any fun on the water. Now, the only thing left is to put the dreary miles behind us on the way home. On Guernsey, we are awaited by Gerda and Willy on the Belgian yacht Demarage. We met Willy briefly in England in 2012. He later coincidentally found our blog on the internet and followed us around the world as a loyal reader. Our reunion is so warm and heartfelt that for a few days the skipper completely forgets his frustrations with the journey home and the terrible weather. And a few days later, as we meet the Voyager crew in Cherbourg after around 1.5 years, it finally becomes clear that sailing friendships often develop spontaneously and in the short term, but are then experienced as very heartfelt, warm and long-term. We sail via Amsterdam and the IJsselmeer towards Vlieland. The journey is cold and wet. All at once summer appears in June for precisely 3 days, and we enjoy these fantastic sunny days on the pleasant island. The last stage takes us to Norderney, Borkum, Helgoland and Cuxhaven. In the meantime, the skipper has come to terms with the rapidly approaching end of the journey. It is the nature of things, and it's well known that only when the old has ended can the new begin. After exactly 4 years and 2 weeks, on July 30th, 2016, we enter port in Hamburg with the Stormvogel. We are welcomed on the Elbe by the Voyager, which arrived home 2 weeks beforehand. Loving friends wave to us on dry land, awaiting us in the heart of the city. The small pontoon party successfully entices the sun out from behind the clouds in the late afternoon. This ensures a really relaxed atmosphere amongst the family, friends, crew and skipper. It is the moment of arrival that makes this type of travel so unique. Every person who travels this wonderful world by land, water or through the air quickly comes to the realization of how precious our nature is, how invaluably treasured our freedom is, that strangers always turn into friends, and how much life is worth living, everywhere in the world. We are at home. We have arrived.